Howdy, guys, and welcome to Cliff Notes, and welcome to a recap of episode 14 of the challenge, season 38, Ride or Die. Episode 14. It seems like there have been a lot more than 14 episodes. There's still a lot of people left in that house. We've still got a lot more episodes to go, I think. But knowing TJ, we never know when the final's going to start, and he reminds us of that this week. Now, we did lose someone last week, so let's talk about that before we talk about what happened in this episode. We lost Mariah last week. Yeah, Mariah playing pretty good game. She hadn't been forced to fight for her life prior to last week, but Mariah went into the elimination competition against Nani. Couldn't quite do it. She fought quite the battle, had one word misspelled. Mariah went home, or at least she left the game for now, because we do have the ride or die twist. We got a few people waiting in the wings, but Mariah went home. I gotta say, she's played a pretty good game, but Nani certainly wasn't upset to win that challenge. Amber wasn't upset to see Nani win that challenge. KC certainly, I don't think, was upset either. And I don't think Jordan or Devin were too horribly upset. And even Faisal, Mariah's ride or die, I'm not sure that even Faisal shed a lot of tears for Mariah. So I think a lot of people consider that a best case situation. We'll see what happens going forward. But we did lose Mariah last week. Now, what does that do for the teams? We've got Faisal's team has lost one person, but still looking pretty strong. With Mariah's departure, it means that we'll call it Jordan and Devin's team for now. It means that Jordan and Devin's team is once again down 2 members as compared to Faisal's team. So there's still a little bit of a disparity in terms of numbers. If Jordan and Devin's teams lose again this week, you'd be down 3 people. Who knows what happens at that point? There is an assumption, because last week was elimination for the women. We assume that this week is going to be a men's elimination, which certainly puts, it puts Mariah's old team, Jordan and Devin and Horatio, puts them under the gun, so to speak, since there's only 3 guys left on that team. But again, men's elimination, we think. Depends on what TJ feels like throwing at us this week. So let's talk about what happens as we see everyone coming back from the zone, from the elimination competition, starting off the episode. I mentioned that Faisal didn't really seem so distraught about losing Mariah. And it certainly doesn't seem that to be the case as they get back into the house. His ride or die is gone, but we saw a little bit of conflict there at the end. And I think truly, when it comes down to it, Faisal was more concerned about keeping his team strong than he was about necessarily holding on to Mariah. So Faisal doesn't seem upset at all. Other ride or dies, certainly a little bit more tight going into it than Faisal and Mariah. As an example, we find out it's Olivia's birthday, and Horatio, Olivia's ride or die, has actually brought her flowers for her birthday. Way to take care of business, Horatio. Yeah, he certainly buys a lot of credit with Olivia. Talk about just really keeping your bond tight with your ride or die, doing something like that. Now, I'm not saying he did it just for strategy gameplay. I think they actually are tight with each other. And also, I'm sure producers had a little bit to say about it as well. But Horatio has brought flowers to Olivia. These two are still a tight ride or die. We see some other people who are tight this episode. We see Tori and Anissa still pledging loyalty to each other. As far as I know, and I'd have to go back and watch, but I think Tori and Anissa have voted the same way in every single vote that's taken place so far this season. Could be wrong, but I think that's the case. They've been very much in lockstep with each other, watching out for each other. I haven't really heard people talking about the fact that they are so tight. Same with KC and Nani. If I'm in that house, I'm seeing these groups of ladies that have such a tight bond with each other, and I'm starting to think maybe there's a point where that's going to need to be broken up. It hadn't happened yet, because again, we do see Tori and Anissa really pledging loyalty to each other. But Tori is pointing out how strange, pointing out to camera, saying how strange this relationship is, because remember, Anissa and Jordan came into this game as ride or dies. Now we've got Tori, who is so super tight with Anissa, and then you've got Tori not so tight with Jordan, Anissa's ride or die. Yeah, she's had so much conflicts with her I guess it's not former ex, with her ex Jordan. So she's really distant from him, and that she's so tight with Anissa. It's just a weird little triangle of folks in that grouping itself. But at least Anissa and Jordan have each other's back. And so we do have that. Now, most of these competitions that take place in the challenge take place in the daytime. Not this time. This time it's going to be one of the rare nighttime challenges. It looks like they're going back to the same building in Buenos Aires, Argentina that they did earlier this season. Remember when they had to jump off the building, grab hold of their partner, try to grab a flag? The competition that Tommy Bracco was doing the swan kind of look as he went out. They're back to that building. Got to say, it's kind of Buenos Aires is pretty at night. They've got it lit up. A little bit different competition, however, this week. It's called Takes Two to Tango, and it's basically an obstacle style course in that the teams have to split up into 2 players per team. They're competing as a team, so you get 2 people from each team that are competing together. They have to walk out onto a beam, 6 inches across, something like that. Walk out on the beam in a dance pose, which means one person is walking forward, the other one's holding their hands, having a step backwards. Walk across this beam, and there's some hazards in the way, some little ramps you have to go over, some bumps, things like that. At one point, right in the middle, is a circular little platform. Both partners have to stand on it, rotate 180 degrees around, so that now the person who was going forward is going backwards. Finish up the beam. At the very end, they then have to do another 180 degrees, go back the other direction, finish the course. They only have 10 minutes to finish. Whichever duo finishes the fastest wins the competition for their team. So yeah, they're still competing in teams. We've got odd numbers on both teams, so one person from each side is going to have to go twice. We'll talk about it as they go through the competition itself. If you make it across in under 10 minutes, fantastic. If you don't make it, you're falling 300 feet or so down to the bottom. You got a rope attached. I hope they had a rope attached. Yeah, they got a rope attached. But the key is to get there and back with your partner as quickly as possible. Pretty cool competition. So we start off with Fessel and Tori going first, and it seems like they go pretty fast. They're really pushing it. As much as they can say, we don't see the clock in the corner, so we don't know for certain, but it seems like Fessel and Tori have gotten across the beam and all the way back in a pretty quick period of time. Chauncey and Anissa are next to go. Not really quite a successful situation. No, not successful at all, because Chauncey refuses to go across the beam. He's scared of heights. I get it completely. But as TJ points out, Chauncey, last time you had to jump off the building and you did it. Now if you are successful, you don't even have to fall. And yet Chauncey just refuses to do it. Now it does make me wonder. Anissa, I can't anticipate that anyone on their team thought that Anissa was going to be the top competitor on this particular competition. So maybe they knew Chauncey was very reluctant to do this to begin with, probably was not going to go too fast across that beam. So they went ahead and put Anissa with them. I assume that's the case. Anissa, I think, was ready to do it. Chauncey refuses to do it. So if that side doesn't win, there's going to be some fingers pointing at Chauncey. You got to try it. Even if Chauncey just went 3 feet across, and of course he didn't want to fall, but I think you got to try this. I think it's a misstep on Chauncey's part. You got to do everything that TJ asks of you. Win or lose, you got to give it a shot. He doesn't give it a shot, so they've defaulted, no time whatsoever. Now, the team may still be okay because it's whoever's the fastest, so it doesn't really impact him too much, but you still got to try, Chauncey. All right, so we've got that. Next team that's up is Nani and Jordan. They finished strong. They're looking just as strong as Fessel and Tori, as best we can tell as viewers. We've got Amber and Devin that also finish. Don't seem to have any major issues with it. Olivia and Bananas are next to go. Olivia's scared. Chauncey refused to do it. Olivia not feeling that much better about doing herself, but she gave it. She tried. She made it across. She made it back. Not sure they had quite the time of the others, but at least they made it. We've then got Nani and Horatio that are finishing strong. So again, Nani had to go twice because I think it was 90 20. Yeah, Nani had to go twice because there was an odd number. So she went both with Jordan and then later with Horatio. They look like they did well. And then as a final competition, you got Faisal and KC going together. Now, I thought it was interesting, of all the people on that team that could go twice, that Faisal was the one that ended up going twice. I know he's a strong competitor. He's athletic. He talks about that he's light on his feet from playing football, and that may be the case. He also has big feet. He's a big guy, right? I would think so. And a little more petite, maybe would have a little bit better skill set on this challenge. But Faisal wants to go again. Apparently, he does it. Seems like he and Casey have a pretty good time as well. So other than no one falls, which props to him. You don't have to have a failure every time. Chauncey refuses to do it. Everyone gets across other than that. So it's just a matter of who got the best time on the competition. And it turns out that the winner is Faisal and Casey. Bring it on, Big Brother family. Yeah, kind of proud of them. The Big Brother former house guest rule the day today. They win the competition, which means because they belong to Faisal's team, to the majority team at this point, it means the other side is going to be down yet another member. And because it's men's elimination, as we find out from TJ, is going to be the case, they've only got 3 people to pick from. They've got Horatio, they've got Devin, and they've got Jordan. One of those 3 is going to get picked to go in the elimination, and then it's just random draw to see which one goes in against them. So not a lot of men left on the other side because of this. They are going to get to interrogate all 3 of them before the elimination competition itself. And I'm really curious, what do you say when you're one of those 3? How do you sell yourself when there's such limited choices to pick from? And we're going to find out. We have, before the interrogation, the winning team is talking. Bananas is pretty quick to say, look, he wants to target either Jordan or Horatio. Horatio is a professional soccer player. Jordan is a 3-time winner and just a fantastic competitor. And he also points out everyone friends with Devin. No one probably really wants Devin to go up. And it quickly seems to be the case. There just doesn't seem to be anyone really within this group that's quick to throw Devin up. So it very much is looking like either the rookie, the very strong rookie player, or Jordan could be the ones going on the block. We do have Faisal pointing out that he is more than ready to go after Jordan, since Jordan mentioned his name and put him on the block. Faisal's ready to return the favor. Tori, everyone's looking at Tori to see how she's going to respond to this, because she certainly has had her conflicts with Jordan as far as arguing and him getting upset that she basically threatened their relationship if he didn't vote the way she wanted. How is she going to handle all of that? Tori kind of playing the middle line, but not so much, because she ends up basically kind of saying she's sort of kind of okay saying Jordan's name. Certainly not the support that you want from someone. They aren't ride or dies, but they're former exes, or they're exes now. So, but she certainly is not feeling like Jordan has treated her right. So she seems very much inclined, if it comes down to it, to potentially throw Jordan's name out there. She's not definite either way. So we're gonna have to wait and see how that works out. But again, no one really seems to want Devin up there. It's going to be one of these other 2 guys that get picked. So let's talk about the interrogation itself. Devin isn't always in puzzles. He's great. Other competitions, he may not always be the one that you consider to be the most athletic competitor, but he knows the game. He understands the strategy. He looks at the numbers. He's very quick to point out, as he looks at who's on this other side, anticipating who's going to vote for who to go into the elimination. And he basically points at Tori and says, yeah, it's looking like you could be the swing vote, Tori, which is the last thing she wants. I'm sure Tori just really wants it to be a 6-0 vote when it comes to her, and her vote doesn't matter whatsoever. But Devin's recognizing that it very well could come down to Tori in terms of who goes up for elimination. So he talks about that. I think Devin recognizes as well that hopefully he's not the primary target for anyone on this other team. Horatio comes in and says, look, I'm not afraid to go up against anyone. I'd just soon not. But if I have to, I understand, there's a good chance I'll go up just because there are only 3 of us to pick from. But it does seem like Horatio is getting a lot of respect from this other team, a lot of respect from the vets, because Horatio has been into elimination so many times. He's won, but he's also handled it well in terms of working with other people. So Horatio's really doing a fantastic job. Horatio and Olivia, as a ride or die duo, I continue to be impressed by these two. So Horatio's getting a lot of respect from the vets on the other side. We've got Jordan in for interrogation, and Faisal, give him credit. He's being very honest. Faisal says, look, it's going to be hard for me not to say your name, considering that you said mine. And Jordan understands. Jordan gets it completely. They talk a little bit to Tori about how she may or may not do it. And Jordan is quick to tell Tori, saying, look, there is 100%. I think Tori says something like, I don't know that you would say my name. I don't think you'd say my name if the roles were reversed. And Jordan says there's 100% chance that I would not say your name. I would not say your name if the roles were reversed. So he's basically suggesting to Tori that certainly she shouldn't be saying his name either. So he's mentioning that to her. Tori is reminding Jordan, however, that he called her a terrorist. I think Jordan came back with a comment saying, yeah, you kind of are a terrorist of love. Jordan knows how to hit back at Tori. He's not backing off. And he points out to her that they had this relationship, the idea that she would threaten that they talked about a relationship, just not within the game, but outside in real life, having a relationship. And for her now to threaten that, he just doesn't get. And he tells her, says, look, I would never do that to you. If you want to do that to me next time, just lie to me. Just don't tell me, say something else, because I don't want to know that you would do that with our relationship. He knows how to hit home with Tori. So he does mention that. And with that, the yelling starts from both of them, arguing back and forth. And you can see on everyone else's faces that's in that room, they're tired of the arguing. Anissa mentions at one point, she says, this has to stop. The more they argue, the more I think everyone on this team and the other team is going to be more and more likely to say, send one of them home. At some point, you don't even care. We just want you to stop arguing. Conflict, as great as it is for a viewer watching a show, I can only think inside the house. Sometimes you just want to have a quiet time without a whole lot of conflict going on. Well, Tori and Jordan are not that. So they finish up with a little bit of yelling at the end. We don't know which way Tori's going to go just yet, but we may get to find out. But it does seem, based on what Faisal's saying, what Bananas is saying, regardless of what Tori may or may not do, it does seem like Jordan probably is the top pick right now to get picked to go in for elimination, but we're going to find out. So with that being said, let's talk about the elimination. Going into the zone, the elimination competition, sometimes we see what the comp's going to be and we can figure out, sometimes not so much. This time it's pretty obvious. We got a big rope forming a circle in the middle of the arena, a little bucket kind of thing in the middle, one ball sitting there. It's going to be a physical competition. It's probably going to involve two guys fighting to try to get that ball landed in the bucket. We've seen the competition quite a few times, a very physical competition from start to finish. So first, who is going to go into the ring? Well, we get Faisal picks Jordan. I think he's the first pick. Not a huge surprise there. Eventually, we end up, without going through all the votes, we end up with 2 votes for Jordan, 2 votes for Horatio, and 1 vote for Devin. So Horatio and Jordan are in the lead. And of course, at this point in time, Tori is the one who has to make the pick. Yeah, you know the producers at least probably have an idea of who's going to vote who, and said, hey, let Tori go 6, because it's exactly what they want, what we fear, what she feared. Tori's likely going to be the swing vote at this point in time. Is it going to be Jordan? Is it going to be Horatio going in? Well, as it turns out, Tori waits for a second, struggling perhaps a little bit. Tori has picked to go into elimination Horatio. Yeah, now as many words as she had against Jordan, at the end of the day, I think she still did have enough respect for the relationship the two of them had, that she has not picked Jordan to go in, her ex to go in. It's going to be Horatio instead. Well, 3-2 at that point in time, with 1 vote left to go. Bananas is the final vote. Theoretically, I guess Bananas could throw the vote towards Jordan instead and force a 3-3 tie. He's not going to do that. He's not going to take a chance that there's a tie and that they somehow would put at risk their own vote. Now, if that happened, the one person who voted for Devin, I can't remember who it was now, maybe they'd be the tiebreaker, but Bananas was fine with with Horatio going in as well. He just didn't want Devin going in. So Horatio is going to be our pick. As strong a competitor as he is, combined with the fact that he's a rookie, it seems like now looking back, I don't think anyone is too upset with it, except for Faisal. And we hear a little bit later, Faisal saying Jordan is such a strong player that he kind of disagrees with it. He would much rather get Jordan out. Well, of course he would, because Jordan was gunning for Faisal in a way that Horatio really hadn't done yet. So, yeah, Faisal was much rather see Jordan up. But at the end of the day, I don't think everyone fears Horatio. So Horatio has been picked. He's going to be the first one in. The question is, who's Horatio going to be competing against? Well, we've got a safety dagger to be drawn. Turns out that Devin's the one who gets to draw the dagger. He draws his dagger, and it says safety. Devin has picked correctly. He is safe in this competition. Devin lives to fight another day. Instead, it's going to be Jordan. So Jordan versus Horatio. So it worked out. Faisal still gets to see Jordan in there. Tori, at one point, Faisal, even before this all starts, Faisal tells Tori, says, look, I just kind of, or no, we'll get to that a little bit later, because I think I'm jumping the gun a little bit. But we're going to see the event. Several people say this is what we've all been waiting for, seeing Jordan versus Horatio, the strong newbie versus the strong vet. Who's going to come out ahead? Devin's just happy to walk back up to the top and not be participating again in a very athletic competition. Competition name is Balls In, which seems very appropriate. You're going to have 3 rounds of this game. One person on offense, one person on defense. The person on offense tries to get the ball into the bucket in the middle, as you would expect. Then they flip. The person who's on defense is now on offense. They do it again. Repeat that for round 2, round 3. The first person to get to 3, I guess if you got to round 3 and they both got it, you'd have a tiebreaker. But basically, whoever can get the most balls in through the 3 rounds wins the competition. The loser goes home. So round 1, we start off. Jordan is actually on offense. Jordan takes 2 very different strategies here. Jordan mentions to the cameras that he just knows the way he plays the game. He wants to take it to the person he's going against, and he does that. Not a whole lot of maneuvering around. He does a little feint, but basically he just slams into Horatio, and it's just pure brute force. Who's the strongest player? Round 1, it turns out it's Jordan. Jordan's able to slam into Horatio, get him to the ground, get back up, throw his ball in the bucket. So score 1 for Jordan. Horatio has a very different strategy. Now, Horatio's a soccer player. Those soccer players, they're used to a lot of footwork, a lot of very fancy footwork, a lot of agility to get around the other players. He demonstrates it here perfectly. He does a feint, a twist, a little move here and there. Before you know it, he's basically stunted around Jordan. Scores the first bucket, or his first goal. Jordan barely got a hand on Horatio. So again, 2 very different strategies. Round number 2, Jordan goes first again. Same kind of deal. Jordan's pretty much just going for it. He scores. Horatio again scores with the footwork, just by a lot of moving, just faster and more agile than Jordan is. So now we're on to the final round. Jordan starts first once again. Once again, he tries to power through Horatio, which he does. Unfortunately, in the process of slamming into Horatio, he has managed to lose the ball that he's holding on to. It bounces out towards the side of the ring. They fight a little bit for it. Eventually, TJ says, dead ball, no score for Jordan. That's dangerous. That means it's 2-2 with 1 effort left. Horatio's going to be on offense. If Horatio scores, Horatio wins. If he doesn't score, I assume we're going to go into some kind of tiebreaker at this point in time. Horatio starts off just as he did before. Now, I got to say, Horatio is fast. He's agile, but he's also looking a little gassed at this point in time. This competition is taking a lot out of both of them. So as he's moving around, you can see him fighting for air and for a little energy. Not really sure how it's going to go. He doesn't quite get around Jordan this time the way he did the first 2 times. Jordan is able to wrap him up around the knees, more or less take him down, but Horatio at the last minute's able to get 1 leg out, basically forces his way forward, pulling forward a step at a time. Jordan holding on to Horatio's other leg for dear life. It's not enough. Eventually, Horatio's shoe comes off. With that, he's able to slip away, slams a ball home. Horatio, the newbie, has won yet again, survived yet another elimination competition. Jordan, incredible player, but he has lost this competition. He's out of the game. Now, we as viewers know he may not be out completely, but he doesn't know that. This, as far as he knows, this is the end of the game for him. TJ does point out that Horatio has now tied the record for the most elimination wins in a single season. I think he said he's got 5. And we still got a lot of competitions to go still. So Horatio is definitely turning it on. Horatio's incredibly happy, and as much respect as everyone else gave him. I think as much as people like Jordan, they still are not upset because they know what a great competitor Jordan is. Jordan's heading home, or at least heading out of the game. Horatio's incredibly happy. And here's the thing, with Jordan gone, unless Anissa can hold on as his ride or die, if she gets sent home, both of them go home together. We already saw that with Nelson and Nuris. So Jordan's lifetime at this point is Anissa. Well, we'll see what happens with that. Now, normally that's when the episode ends, right? TJ gives some kind of little get out of here, guys. I'll see y'all later. No, not this time. I know there's another half hour or so left in the episode. And sure enough, we've got TJ saying, look, guys, be ready. I could show up at any moment. My finale could start up at any moment. So just be warned and be prepared. Little foreshadowing there, right? Yeah, when you look at the clock and realize how much episodes left, I knew something was coming up. Now, before we see anything happen with some kind of twist from TJ, we do have Bananas talking to Tori. And he's actually telling her, saying, look, with Jordan gone, I think your game may get a little bit easier. You're not going to have the conflict. I just think life's going to be easier for you. And I think it's going to help you. Well, we'll see. Because as we know, Jordan's not completely gone, just kind of gone, right? And so, sure enough, the very next morning, no announcement or anything else. People just look up. They see TJ walking into the house. They decide to follow him, knowing something's going on. TJ comes into the house, sits down on the billiards table, and tells them, says, all right, here you go, guys. I warned you to be prepared anytime. Pack up and follow me back to the zone. So everyone packs up their bags, which makes me wonder. First of all, I think it's got to do with all these ride or dies that have been sitting off in the wings, right? You would think. But they pack up all their luggage. Are they coming back to the house? Or does the finale start now? Are they going to be off in tents for the rest of the season? Don't know yet. It seems like a few too many people for finale just yet. But that doesn't mean that they may not be roughing it or something else going on. We don't know yet because they've packed up, but now they're back in the zone, back for competition. And at that point, TJ drops the first of a few different twists. He mentions, says, look, this game's all about ride or dies. Yeah, I've had y'all on teams and all of that. Says, but at the end, it's still about ride or die. So teams are gone. Y'all go back to your original ride or dies. You're going to be competing as duos once more. You're back together with each other, which is pretty funny because we see everyone get back with their ride or dies. People like Amber and Chauncey, incredibly happy. People like Olivia and Horatio, very happy. In fact, really, everyone seems excited about this turn of events, except for Faisal and Anissa and KC. What do the three of them have in common? They have in common the fact that their ride or dies are already gone. They've got no one to link up with, and they quickly start getting worried about their position in the game, especially when TJ says, hey, the three of y'all don't have ride or dies, and you really can't continue without a partner. At which point they're all seeing the writing on the wall. Perhaps their game is ended because they lost their ride or die. They're not feeling great at all. It's just all a psych from TJ. We knew it because we knew the ride or dies were sitting in the wings, but they didn't know that. And sure enough, TJ brings the ride or dies back into the game, and they now are back together. I gotta say, Casey and Kenny, very happy to be back together. Anissa and Jordan, incredibly happy. And Jordan tells a little thing, says, I kind of feel like I need to go. I lost fair and square. I feel like I probably need to go home because of it. He says, but there's $2 million, so maybe I won't go home just yet. Anissa and Jordan are happy. Casey and Kenny are very happy to be back together. Faisal and Mariah, I think Mariah's happy that she's back in the game. I'm not sure if Faisal's really seeing that his path to victory has improved that much. Now, he's happy he's not been evicted from the game, but we'll see how those two work as a partner going forward. But, of course, that's not the last twist of the evening, because TJ tells us that, look, it's not going to be that easy. All three of you duos still have a chance to get back into the game. He says Norris and Nelson, they both are gone, so they're out of here. The three of y'all still had one of your ride or dies in the game to this point, so I'm giving all three of y'all a chance to stay in the game, but there's also a chance that you're going to go home. And so the first thing he's going to do is a game called Don't Let Me Down. Basically, the idea is that these three duos are going to be competing against each other. Whoever wins this competition is back in the game. Both of them. They're back in as a ride or die duo, just like everyone else. The other two, we don't really know just yet. TJ says we'll deal with that later. All we know is that whoever wins this competition is back in the game. So Don't Let Me Down is the name of the game. It basically takes the arena. There's 3 ramps at probably a 30-degree angle or so, 3 feet across, something like that, with a big cylinder. We'll call it a barrel, a big, heavy barrel sitting at the bottom of this ramp. When TJ blows a horn, each duo has to run over to their barrel, push the barrel up to the top of the ramp, get the barrel and their feet beyond a line on the ramp that's about a foot from the bottom, 1.5 feet or so. They have to keep the barrel and their feet above that line for a solid minute. If they can do that, whoever does it first wins and is back in the game. Sounds easy. Nah, it doesn't really sound easy. Not when you're looking as well. These are heavy barrels. We hear a lot of people complaining that the sand is just creating a lot of slippery surface. They can't get a lot of friction as they're pushing the barrel up. Some people seem to be handling it a little bit easier than others. Faisal and Mariah seem like they're doing okay. Anissa and Jordan, they're putting a lot into it. They're okay. Kenny and Casey, not so much. They just can't get a grip. Kenny in particular looks like his feet are slipping on that sand. Every time they get, just as they get it up over the line, they all start slipping backwards. It's tough when you can't get traction with these shoes. So Kenny and Casey are definitely farther behind than the other two. The other two are competing pretty well. Now I kind of wondered, once you got the barrel up high enough and you got your feet above the line, would it be possible for you to stick one of your feet up underneath that barrel and kind of use it to serve as a wedge to hold the barrel in place and kind of not probably crush your foot, but lock your foot in place too so you don't slip behind the line? I thought of it, and I don't know if there's any rules against it. I'd probably do that. Next thing you know, the barrel's rolling over me, and I'm about that thin, top to bottom, just like a cartoon. But I don't know. It doesn't matter. They didn't do that. It was just pure brute force. And at the end of the day, Faisal and Mariah have won this thing. Not a huge surprise. I'm not going to give all the credit for Faisal because Mariah was pushing as well. It was definitely a group effort, but they've put it together. Faisal and Mariah are back in the game. We'll see how these two interact with each other because it's not nearly as love and roses as we've seen with some of the other duos. But Faisal and Mariah are back in. As far as the other two, well, we'll have to wait till next week because at that point, TJ shuts down, or the producer shut down the episode. I think there's going to be another competition to see another duo gets in. The last group probably goes home, but we're going to have to wait till next week to find out. So at the end of the episode, we didn't lose anyone. We possibly lost Jordan, but we got Mariah back, and we'll have to wait till next week to see just what happens. See what happens in terms of living arrangements. See what happens in terms of the finale. Is TJ starting it right now? Anything is possible in a challenge. So overall, a fantastic episode, a lot of fun. Props to Horatio, who continues to do what he needs to do to survive. It's going to be a fun next week to figure out all the repercussions of what happened here. So guys, looking forward to next week. I'll be back here to talk about Episode 15, we'll figure out what the last of TJ's twists are for this week anyway. And then we'll go from there. Until then, guys, y'all have a great week. I'll chat with you next week. SKD 143. Cheers, my friends.